Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at how you can import data into Microsoft Excel. As I mentioned in the last video, we're going to be working with tab delimited data and comma separated values, popularly known as CSV. And if you'd like to check out the last video, just click the link in the top right corner. And if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to learn to do more with Microsoft Excel and other Office applications as well. All right then, let's get to it. All right, so we're going to be starting off with tab delimited text. And there's really different ways you could go about this. You could go through the file option, try to locate the text on your computer, maybe using browse, the browse button, and open the file that way. But a quicker way would be to use the data tab. If you open that on the top left, you can see your get and transform data group. In there, you could either go for the get data drop down, which really opens you up to a lot more options. But here we already know we're looking for text slash CSV, so we can just click that button and we have our window opens up here. And what we're really trying to import is our students tab import text file. But before we import that, I'm just going to show you a little preview of what the text file looks like. Really, what we have here is a fictional list of students. So we have four columns, column headers right here. We have the first name, last name, major, and course code, right? And we can see the spaces in between the columns. Those are tabs, and that's how Excel is going to be detecting it as a tab delimited file. When we import the file, we're going to see how that all works out. Okay, so we have our text file selected and we go down and hit import and a preview window opens up. So what this is for is that it gives us a little preview into our table before it is imported into our spreadsheet. Here you can see that Excel has detected that we're using tabs as our delimiter. When you drop down, you can see different other options for delimiters. But for our file, it's going to stay at the tab. If we probably selected something different, it could change the whole setup for us. Our data detection type is based on our first 200 rows, which is good enough for this file. We can see that our first row has been used as our column headers, which is exactly what we wanted. There's no blanks and everything seems to be aligning properly, so that's all good. We can go ahead, click load. What that does is that it loads the table into a new worksheet. You can see that we have a worksheet open here, but if we use load, it will create a new worksheet and it will see the second tab show up there. We also have the option to use load to if we wanted to load this table into this existing worksheet. We're going to use that for the CSV file, so that's all good. And we have the option to transform data. If we're probably working with a large file and we want to maybe remove some headers and remove some rows, right? And that's what transform data is for. Really opens us up to Power Query, which can make a lot of changes to your table before it gets imported into your worksheet. But we're not going to be dealing with that today. We're just going to be importing our text file. So we're just going to hit load. And we can see everything's loaded up as it was in the preview window. You can see, as I said, student tab import. I have done this before, so that's why it's including the number 2 on the worksheet tab and here in our query and connections tab as well. So that's all good. But point is, you can see everything comes in smoothly with our 4 columns in there, just as they're supposed to be, right? And you can see here that Excel has created a new table because up in the ribbon, we have a new option for table design. If you click outside the table, you see that that option goes away. You click back in, comes back again. And that's how you know you have a table set up either automatically by Excel or by yourself. All right, so that's how we can import tab delimited text into a new worksheet with Microsoft Excel. So let's move on to our comma separated values. Here you can see I have my cursor on cell A7. That's because that's exactly where we're going to be importing our table to. It's going to be starting off from cell A7 in this existing worksheet. Unlike the lesson with the tab delimited text, where we imported it into a new worksheet. So this is going into our existing worksheet, which is for our all books publishing company, just basically a little list of books for this fictional company. All right, so let's get to it. Just like before, we head up to our ribbon. In our data tab, we have our get and transform data group, and we can just go up directly to our text slash CSV since we know that's exactly what we're looking out for. Click that button and we locate our file. See here, we're going to be using the books CSV import text file. And as usual, before we import the file, let's just take a sneak peek. You can see that we have our data separated by columns this time around. It looks a little all bunched up together, but at least you can tell that commas are separating the data, and you can see that our first row is indeed our headers, and you can see we have 6 headers. So we have, as a result, 6 different columns. And we're going to see how everything works out when we import this file and make a table in Excel. So we have it selected. Let's hit import. And again, we have our preview window showing up and letting us know how everything's going to work out when we import this data into our spreadsheet. You can see that Excel has automatically detected our delimiter, and you can see this time around it's comma. With a drop down, you can see the rest like we did before. You can see that our selection here is based on the first 200 rows again, but we have way less than that. I think we have about 10 rows on this. And point is, you can see that everything works well. You can see that our first row has indeed been selected as our column headers, and everything aligns perfectly well. We don't have any blanks, so we don't have any issues to deal with. No need to transform data. So let's go ahead and load it up. Instead of hitting load, we will use the load to option. Remember, the load option was used to create new worksheets. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to load into our existing worksheet. So we're going to use the second option. We hit load to, and we have a new window showing up. And this window is just an import data window, asking how we want our data to be viewed in the workbook. Do we want it to show up as a table, as a pivot table report, pivot chart, or just as a connection, right? And it's also asking, where do you want to put the data? So we want to put it in this existing worksheet, right, at cell A7. Right, so you have that syntax here, just letting us know that cell A7 has absolutely been selected and it's not going to change, right? So we have to have these options selected, make sure it's a table, and make sure it's on existing worksheet and not new worksheet, right? And we hit OK. And we can see our nice little table has been loaded into our worksheet. We can see that the first row is indeed our column headers. Everything is nice and set up. properly in there. You can see our list of books, categories ranging from crime to romance, and everything else set up as it was supposed to. When you click in there and look up at our ribbon, you can see that we have our table design tab. As usual, you click outside and it's gone because there's no table there. Click back in the table and it shows up, and that's how you know your table has been set up nice and good and everything's working just as it should, right? So this is how we can set up a CSV file into an existing Excel worksheet. All right. Thanks everyone for spending time with me today. As always, I'd love to see your comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we put out something new. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next lesson.